Hello again, welcome to my channel. Here we want to explore the topic of complexity. I hope you're doing well. This time it will be about the element of control within complex systems. I would like to make a consideration of this term first, generally for all three kinds of complexity, before I deal in subsequent contributions with the special aspects in detail. Therefore, if we briefly recall it again, complexity consists of 5 core characteristics: a large amount of information of all kinds, impenetrability, networking effects, nonlinear effects or momentum. It occurs in a limited or unlimited time, depending on which complex system we enter. Complexity is found in interpersonal communication, permanently in social order systems, and temporarily in technical systems. All systems have in common that they need, among other things, control as a core property to operate them. So what is control now? Control, as I understand it, is a conscious intervention into the system with the goal to steer or to regulate its dynamics. Controlling means to achieve a direction. To regulate means to keep the single components within certain limits so that again the whole system can take a direction, which is the desired end purpose. The nature of this control is determined in particular by the system architecture, i.e. the way the system is designed by its developers, which possibilities of influence exists or are left to the operator. And it is determined by my intentions as an operator, i.e. how do I deal with the system. Thus, the process of control has a technical and a human factor in the case of a technical complexity, since the overall system is operated by humans. Control has an exclusively human factor as long as it involves directly communication with fellow human beings. And it again has both factors as soon as in social order systems or the interhuman communication, likewise again technology is used. With the complexity of a technical system, it is comparatively simple. The type of control is determined by the purpose of the system. For example, if it is an airplane, this system can and must be controlled so that it behaves like an airplane. Otherwise, it is not an airplane but a stationary vehicle. So the way the system works imposes on us the sequence of control or defines very narrowly how control can be exercised at all. The airplane must be operated phase by phase so that it gets from A to B. There is no other way. With our interpersonal communications, things are quite different. The purpose of this is often not clear. Both sides have different intentions, i.e. the effort for control and rules of the involved ones pulls under circumstances in different direction. Different types of character come into question for this, like e.g. emotional characters versus sober ones, different levels of education so that it is not understood what the other person means at all, different cultural imprints such as individualism versus collectivism, but also a different perception of life due to one's own past or psychological and mental disorders. The ability for empathy also plays a decisive role, since it is the quality that enables us to want to listen to the other person in the first place. All these contributing factors mean that the complexity of our interpersonal communication is virtually a freewheeling event, while technical system complexity takes place within a tightly constrained framework. The former can thus effortlessly fall over the cliff and end inconclusively or in rejection or hostility if we don't pull in to control it the same way as we do to a technical system, namely boundaries and conventions. An airplane, an area which I know quite well, is flown, that means is controlled on the basis of limitations and procedures. This combination generates the reliability we know from it. In the complexity of interpersonal communication, we therefore need the same framework. Otherwise, the participants will not be able to control the conversation in a way that has a creative value. It is completely impossible. If, on the other hand, something does not work within a technical system during the operation, we can pull out the manual to find out why it went wrong. There the whole aim process is described. In interpersonal communication, this possibility does not exist because we cannot see behind the other person's forehead. Therefore, this kind of complexity and its control is infinitely more difficult. While at the same time, this fact explains why it is the effort of the developers of complex technical systems to take out the human factor more and more as far as possible, because it is so unpredictable. This brings us to the aspect of complex mixed systems such as social media. But the monetary system is also one of them. Why are control architectures deliberately used there which originate from the gambling industry? While it is well known that the elements of this are addictive or cause loss of reality. A hint: interviews with developers of these media can be found on the internet. Just Google for it. Therefore, sometimes one cannot help thinking that there is no intention to make us humans more capable in dealing with complexity, but instead deliberately misleads or dumbs us down. In this respect, among the three types of control, i.e. that of the technical system, that of the direct interpersonal communication, and that of the complex mixed communication system of social media, the latter one is the one that offers us the greatest challenges. Many times, completely unaware of what is technically going on in the background, we stumble around there. We don't have to disclose our true intentions, respectively, we don't have to keep any limitations. In the real direct conversation, we almost do not get around it, with the result that it fails, which is nevertheless also a form of clarity. Here, however, it is possible to act quasi with put-on masks, sometimes even intentionally in sinister intention, and or to act out obsessions, recklessly without considering in any way how much one is actively involved in the destruction of a togetherness which one paradoxically, and thereby often seeing oneself as a victim, no longer thinks to find it in reality. A whole bouquet of further questions arises from this, but more about that in another contribution. In my opinion, complexity is the defining challenge for all of us today. Never before has technological progress been so rapid. Never before has humanity been connected across the globe in one form or another. And above all, it has probably never been more difficult than today to distinguish truth from deception, while at the same time we act very superficially and impulse-driven. Therefore, it is essential that we explore this topic in its theoretical components, but also especially in its aspects that address our inner being. Complex systems therefore need control in the form of limitations and agreements. These can be maintained stable only if we have the knowledge necessary for it. Even if it does not seem so, under the three kinds of complex systems as I understand them, the technical ones are in the end the ones which are comparatively easiest to handle. The real challenges for us lie in interpersonal communication, or rather in the technically driven interpersonal communication that is becoming more and more dominant these days, because their system architecture contains elements that are either completely unknown to us or even contains arbitrary limitations that are made possible by the private ownership of these media. In general, I think the following applies. If we move inside these three systems, we can only achieve a good ability to control by shouldering the willingness to take responsibility, and that in turn will only work if we are committed to truth or want to get to the bottom of it, because a complex system cannot be operated in any other way. That was it for today. Next time I would like to go into how control is specifically exercised in a technically complex system or what is required for this. For now, thanks for listening and see you next time. Ciao.